Sorry, I film myself talking so much. I run out of space in the camera. So the same way that like you can make yourself more dense in an area by like putting your body there and flexing, and you can experiment with that with like weights and muscles, like kind of like increasing your electron density in that way. And how can you move while increasing the density or the tension, like while increasing the tension and the pressure in the body? How can you move under that, and then how much tension and pressure can you create, and how relaxed can you be just like playing with the tension and the pressure? And you can see that like as you first start, you might not be very strong, but if you play with the tension and pressure over a period of months or years, you can go from an average person to like a bodybuilder, right? So it's just the same amount of perceptual focus on this spatial element that I'm pointing to for intensely for a period of months or years. You can do intense short-term training or whatever, or longer, and you're trying to get it to where you're consciously flexing. You can't keep it on all the time, you're going to go to sleep. So you start to feel it like a muscle, your ability to move from and identify like with the space within which your perception of momentum is happening. So like when you're from there, it's mostly still, like it's still like water, and then it's also it should be in every direction. If it's not in every direction, you're kind of pinned against something, you're floating at the surface, and those would be like kind of unconscious areas. So you can work on adjusting your posture in the perceptual space. And so doing it with weights or doing it at a high cardiovascular, think something intense, it's the same as detachment. You do something intense and sort of detach from it and remain in the space. That causes the space itself to, like, you develop the ability to cause it to densify, the exact same way that you would flex a muscle, but this is your spatial muscle, and so it's all the space shifts, and it's similar to like getting in a swimming pool or getting in denser air, getting in a denser medium of consciousness. And so then your ability to push and swim changes, and like what you can sense changes too, because you can feel waves in those mediums, right? So you can get strong and natural. Things that are like, it's like learning how to do is also like walking. At first you have to study it intensely, but once you figure it out, it's an automatic background process. So people figure this out totally naturally. It's mostly an automatic background process, or various techniques get this to happen via talking about it through the lens of like emotions or thoughts, or life connections and behavioral patterns and things like that. Those all reference, they kind of tell us what the space is doing. So if we align with those things, we'll tend to align with the spatial element. If not actually being aware of and identifying as it. And I don't mean like identify it in a preposterous way, but like, what else am I looking for? And so all the movement, it's kind of like, it's awesome, it's silly, like let it happen, I think, but like it's not the, it's not the goal, but also like why not? A lot of the times it's tremendously helpful versus just sitting still in terms of like maintaining that sense of space. And agitating the larger sense of space via various like rituals, practices, or anything else, causing that agitation also makes it so that it's more palpable. So a person who's extremely agitated in their outer fields is as conscious, is as awake as a very still, expanded like monk. Right? They're the same magnitude of being in terms of feeling how that outer consciousness is floating to like supporting, you know, facilitating everything, right? And so it's very easy to get pretty good at a form, but be totally ignoring this control that you have over the spatial aspects, like the mental game, and it'll never develop. And you can be very advanced, and then when the light clicks on in this sort of thing, you go back to a skill where you're atrocious. Like, so everyone kind of starts over. Unless you were like a swimmer in some way, it's pretty transferable. Which could be everybody, right? Anybody who figured out flow state. But that's stuff that you can work on from a deep squat. Opens the hips and stuff.